Hello and welcome back to a football chat show, episode 2 of the new season. The big one today. There's not going to be much introduction, but as always, I'm joined with Jamie. Jamie, how you doing?
Not too bad. Another week, another non-signing week for United. So
Yeah, I mean we'll touch on that quickly just before we go. The Frankie De Jong situation, sorry. I just wanted to ask, what's the weather like with you? Because I'm going to have to apologise if beads of sweat start pouring down my forehead because it is so hot in my room.
it's humid.
Yes.
Probably not as bad as it is up there, but
Yeah.
it's not nice.
No, it's not fun, is it? Not fun at all. Anyway, we're moving on from that. As you said, a non-signing this week for Manchester United. Frankie De Jong did not move by the end of last week. I'm more thinking it's going to happen this week than I was last week when I spoke to you, if that's any consolation.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I think that it's definitely picking up in the rumour mills, and it's definitely getting closer to actually being something that's going to get pulled off at some point.
Look, I'm still confident. I was confident last time we spoke about it. Still, I think the only different thing that's happened in the past week is Chelsea got kind of
Yeah.
a bit, but I think they're quite busy on
My
defenders.
Yeah,
and also,
I mean they've got none.
well, yeah, I just don't see that we'd have spent 13 weeks on this and then Chelsea come in.
Yeah, my only thing with Chelsea is like their transfer strategy this season's gone awfully. Like Todd Bolly or Todd Bowley, however you pronounce it, has clearly not like understood the English or the European transfer market at all. And he's like, I can just trade everyone. It's fine. Don't worry. It's gone very, very badly for him. That transfers is unfortunately not what this show is about. There's 4 more weeks of transfers. Well, this episode today. There's 4 more weeks of the transfer window after today. And tomorrow, when this goes out, the Premier League starts. And oh no, it's tonight. It'll be tonight.
Yeah, Friday night.
Arsenal, Crystal Palace. Gonna be a cracker.
Arsenal Crystal Palace is never on a weekend.
No, never 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But yeah, it's gonna be good. And we are gonna try our best to predict it. And we're gonna get straight into it. We'll be back in 2 seconds with a half-made table ready to go. Right, we're back. We've got a Google sheet for you for your viewing pleasure. It just has a bit more visual, gives you something to watch while we discuss. We're going to do the Premier League. We're going to do top scorer, young player of the year, young player of the year, and then a couple of other ones for domestic trophies, etc., etc. Who wants to kick us off? Jamie, would you like to kick us off, or do you want me to?
Yeah. Do you want to go through individual awards first and then do the big table?
I want to do the big table to start.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, basically, the way that I do this at the beginning is City or Liverpool, and I'll always pick City, irrespective of who I think is going to win it, really. But
we're going bottom to top.
Bottom to top. Fine. Well, no spoilers there.
No, I mean, to be honest, that is the only thing that you can't
spoil. It's
obvious
which two are going to be at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, right. This is where it kind of is a bit messy for me because I kind of have an idea of who I think will be relegated, and then from kind of 17th to maybe 12th, 11th is kind of
mine's actually 17th to 7th. I think a lot could happen in those positions. Actually, maybe 17th to 15th is going to be pretty like the bottom 5 is probably going to be pretty similar, but then 15th to 7th, no clue.
There's been some really strong windows, which is what's throwing me a bit.
And I think that the standard of managers higher as well in terms of teams that maybe haven't had great windows, but they've got a good manager or they had a good squad that maybe they inherited quite late, that sort of thing. Anyway, do you want to go for your relegated teams?
So I've gone straight for that. I've gone Bournemouth 20th, Fulham 19th, and Southampton 18th.
Bournemouth, Fulham, Southampton. If you talk us through, well, the thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people are going to have a very similar bottom too.
Yeah, I mean, Fulham, always. I mean, they have just signed Leno, which is a good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But then again, they had Areola last time they went down, and he's just as good. So
probably better.
yeah. So yeah, I think Fulham are just a yo-yo club. They always have been. They're just too good for the league below and not good enough.
Yeah. One day they'll crack the formula.
Yeah,
one day they will. It's just
hey,
their recruitment
yeah.
strategy is just
Actually,
dreadful.
I should have said before I even said that I fully accept that none of these will be right. But,
yeah, I mean, hopefully the top two.
Well,
Got to be, or top three for you. You got to be thankful, grateful, or hopeful that is. But yeah, no, I agree with Fulham totally. I think I can fill mine in. I think Fulham I put 20th. So yeah, there you go. And then Bournemouth, you put Bournemouth in there. I mean, a lot of people have that, don't they?
I think you haven't put them there because you lived there for 3 years.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So Bournemouth, I agree. I don't. They haven't recruited well. My only thing is quite a few of the squad are still there from when they went down, and they were half decent for a few years, and then the wheels just come off in the last year.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't put them in the bottom three. And it's a slight sentimental thing.
Yeah.
But they are.
You'll understand even when you see the other team that is in the bottom three for him. So
no, but yeah. So you went for and then Southampton. So I'm actually going to fill my other two out as we're talking. But I've also gone for Southampton, and I went for Southampton 18th, and then I've gone for Everton. No, I've gone for Southampton 19th, Everton 18th.
Yeah, my thing with Southampton is I don't know why I put them in there. It just seems that everybody else deserves to be above them.
Yeah, I predicted them to go down last year.
Oh, did you?
And they had a very good start of the season, and the back end of last season was very, very poor. So, and they've not recruited. They've lost Broha, and they. I mean, I follow. I get a lot of like suggestions on my Twitter, and the Southampton journalists were kind of like, this is bad because our biggest attacking threat is our fullback, and he's like 20 years old, and this is really, really bad. So
Kyle Walker-Peters' agent is doing
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. So there, I'm not. And Bro has gone, as I said, and he didn't score many, but without 7 goals, who knows where they'd been last season. Adam Armstrong, they took a gamble on him and clearly didn't work. I mean, he's a very House and Hootle player, runs a lot, a bit like Shane Long, but he's just not good enough. And I don't think
they'll score every free kick though, so that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't give them a free kick. Imagine they didn't get any free kicks, they'd actually just re-relegate on 0 goals.
Oh mate, yeah. It'd be a derby situation.
Yeah, do you know what? It could be bad. I just think that it's not great. And then I went for Everton. And it's a bit out of spite. I would have never had them this low previously. I think even last year I said they might be knocking on European places, but they are woeful. I'm sorry, they are not good. And the back end of last season, everyone was like, Frank kept them up, but the squad he's got should not be anywhere near competing.
I think battling for relegation. My number one shout for the sack race.
So my point is though, can they afford it? Because sacking him, because he's going to have a big payout because he thinks he's like a much better manager than he is. So he rates his like managerial thing, but Everton are building a new stadium, have spent £500 million in the last 6 years, and haven't won anything and have nothing to show for it. Right. And so they're not making the money, if that makes sense.
So you're hoping for a relegation and liquidation?
Well, they're not going to liquidate, but I don't think they can afford to sack Frank Lampard. So if they have a bad start to the season, I think they could really struggle with getting rid of him and getting someone in who's going to steady the ship, because there's not really many managers out there that could do it anymore. All of the veterans are kind of a bit too old now, and their style of football would really not suit the Premier League. I don't know what you think, but
no, I think you're probably right. I mean, they're not far above relegation on my list. They are literally 17th on my list. So
there we go. I'll add it in.
I'm not rating them particularly highly either. They haven't replaced the goals that Richarlison brings. Calvert-Lewin's been off it for a while.
They brought Dwight McNeil, who's got about 4 goals in his whole career.
He scored once last season.
Exactly.
And got relegated.
I try and not make the they.
So the relegated thing is kind of irrelevant, but it's just fun to say.
No, but the thing is, it's like Liverpool brought Robertson, Wijnaldum, and it's like, okay, if you're going to buy from a relegated team, go and buy their best player. Like, go and buy Sarr and Dennis from Watford, not Dwight McNeil.
Did they sign Cornet? Did they?
No, there's rumours of Cornet. I think it might be Newcastle.
I was gonna say because he won't stay there. He is their best player.
Yeah. So, but do you know what I mean? Go and get Cornet. Like, he's a much more attacking threat than Dwight McNeil. But yeah, I just think Everton are really going to struggle. I think their form towards the back end of last season was poor. They resulted to trying to play part of the bus football, and a team of that size or a club of that size should not be resulting to that, in my opinion. But yeah, so my 18th is 17th is Bournemouth, and look, we've actually got the same teams in the bottom four.
Just in nice, because I was worried that I was going to really like mess this up.
No, not at all. So, I mean, we've covered Bournemouth. As I said, I think that I quite like Scott Parker. I think that he just was a bit stupid with Fulham. He tried to play the way he played in the Championship, and you can't do that. Yeah. But I think he's learned his lesson, because I think he does want to be a top manager, or like he wants to be one of those managers that perhaps goes to Villa, West Ham,
a Gareth
yeah, a Gareth, yeah, kind of, yeah, that sort of thing. No, but I know what you mean. And then we're on to 16th place. I'm not sure who's got 16th because I can only see my list. So I'm going to kick it off, and I think Nottingham Forest will be here. And I feel like I'm a bit of a football hipster staying that.
You reckon?
A lot of people are backing them, I think.
Yeah, they are a bit higher in mine. Leeds are my 16th.
So Nottingham Forest and Leeds. I was going to say if you explain why Leeds, but I think the football they played, it talks for itself, really.
Yeah, I mean they've had a very expensive transfer window, and to be fair, quite a good one. So who did they sign? They signed Sinestra, the Colombian left winger from PSV.
Feyenoord.
Shit. They signed, is it Adams?
They signed some good players from
really
the Bundesliga, but that's kind of Jesse Marsh's thing, isn't it? You could tell his Leeds team played like a Bundesliga team, so
I actually can see them doing better than 16th, but there is a little bit of it's Leeds.
If they lose their heads again, it's not going to be good.
Yeah,
and they've lost Phillips,
and they've lost their most important, midfield player. So
the thing is, that's not a problem. You can do that as a team like that, like Villa did, and they were in trouble, but they steadied the ship and they were all right. But I think Phillips was actually like literally the linchpin of that whole team.
Yeah,
it's like taking out the foundations to a building. It's just going to collapse.
You've also got to hope that Patrick Bamford is more fit this year.
100%. I'm going to search quickly if they've signed a striker. Because if they haven't, that's really not great.
Rodrigo didn't really turn out as a striker, did he?
They kind of played him a bit deeper.
Yeah.
And then played him out wide a bit. They haven't really. Brendan Aronson. Oh, he's a wing back, isn't he? I think. I could look very stupid there. I'm just having a look at a name. Midfielder. I'm gonna have a look at that guy. But yeah, so I mean, I've not gone Leeds much higher, but I mean, they've bought a lot of midfielders. I think they've basically gone, let's just buy loads and one of them will work.
No, I think Adams is a good signing.
Yeah, definitely. They have signed him, haven't they? We're not being silly there. Yeah, Tyler Adams. Yeah,
they definitely did.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, so I've gone. So there we go in Forest. So the reason I've gone Forest is they've done what every promoted team does and bought a lot of players.
Yeah.
And I actually think they've made signings that suit Steve Cooper and the way they play.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they've made too many.
That's fair.
I think they signed 12 first-team players. And, okay, fine, not a problem. But why? You basically said to your 11 got promoted. I don't think you're good enough. I mean, okay, they lost a few, like Spence and a couple of other people were on loan. But I just don't think that's a very wise recruitment strategy. I mean, there's three signings I think are decent. And then they could have maybe made one or two more, which were Jesse Lingard, Dean Henderson, and Nico Williams. I think they're three very good signings. I just think that it's a bit too much too soon for Forest.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm fully prepared for them to finish top half, knocking on European football. By the way, I think that's a possibility. I genuinely do. If the signings hit the ground running, because the way they played in the championship was just electric. It was really, really good. And once they got,
I mean
get
that's
that
the reason I
atmosphere.
put them a little bit higher, is that kind of first season syndrome.
Yeah.
Where you get to the Premier League and just go, oh my god, and then just
Yeah.
attack it and confuse a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Next season, you get that second season where it catches up to them a little bit. I think they'll stay up as you've got them, but I think they'll do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
A bit like Leeds in their first season.
Tell me your 15th to 10th now, and we'll go from there.
Right, Brentford, Palace, Forest.
Oh my days. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Wolves, Brighton,
and Wolves, Brighton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's it, yeah.
Brighton and Leicester is 10.
Make it up, right? Leicester. Right. Okay, so we've obviously touched on Forest.
I'm gonna tell Leicester like the right first time round.
I can't unless it's under pressure, and then it always seems to go well. I'm gonna go my 10 to 15 as well, which is Wolves, and then I've gone Leeds. You know what? Again, I think we might have exactly the same teams in the bottom half.
It's going to become interesting when it gets a bit closer to top, because I haven't looked at yours really.
I saw yours, and I did think one of them was a bit. I understood why, but we'll discuss it when we get to it. Yeah, we've both got Leicester. So the one I'm a little bit 50-50 on is Leicester, but we'll get to them. Let's talk about Wolves. You've got them 12th, and I've got them 15th.
They really need to sign a striker. Because I think Jimenez has lost it a bit.
I don't think they're bad enough to go down.
No.
But I also don't think they're good enough to do anything more than just about survive relegation scrap.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I think you're right. They passed us off the pitch when we played them at Molineux last season, but that we were awful, so there's not really anything to go by.
They started well. Their problem was throughout the season they just didn't score goals.
They did what Brighton tend to do and just didn't score any expected goals. They just scored a load of expected goals and just didn't convert any of them, which is kind of leans into why I think they need a forward.
Yeah, well, Jimenez is now injured, and they loaned out Fabio Silva, so they've only got one. What you say is a senior forward, which is Hwang Hee-chan. So
Neto's back as well. He was unfit for a lot, but again,
if you look outside of the top six, wingers don't put out numbers that they need to help a team really propel and stay away from the bottom four. My friend is a Wolves fan, and he just bangs on about how they've got no players. They signed no one of decent it's actually game changing. They signed Nathan Collins from Burnley, and when you look at it, you go, right, of the teams that went down, whose defenders would you want? And you go, actually, to be fair, Burnley would lose 1 or 2-0. You very rarely remember Burnley just getting hammered week after week. Do you know what I mean? So that's a good signing. But yeah, I would have put Wolves relegated if I wasn't so 50-50 on Forest.
No, it was better.
So not relegated. I'd have probably put Wolves just above Bournemouth. And then Leeds, we already spoke about them. I'm not backing them much more than you. I just don't think they're very good. They're average. They might have a half decent season in March. They're not going to hit the heights they did in that first season, but they're certainly not going to. I don't think they're going to struggle as much this year. I think they could have a decent first half and tail off towards after the World Cup when it's a big break in momentum. Where maybe they're 10th, 9th, first, whatever it is, 16, 17 games, and then they might struggle after that. Why don't you explain to me the Palace and Brentford choices?
Palace and Brentford. Again, it's kind of those mid-table obscurity kind of teams that I'm not sure about, especially Brentford, because I think they're looking at and may have kind of agreed to sign Mikkel Damsgaard, which I think is a great to replace that kind of creativity they had at the end of the last season with Eriksen. And to be fair, they play great football when they're at it. But I just don't think they have the quality to get anywhere more than kind of that bottom mid-table kind of place. Where have you got them? 14th, I've got them 16th, so 15th. I should have
15th. Sorry, it's because it's I've got our names at the top. I probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's second season syndrome. I think they're better than the teams I've put below them. I think they're decent. I quite like watching them play. They gave us a good game at the start of last season.
Yeah, they give everybody a good game. They don't often sit by, which is good.
The thing that changed their season was Eriksen scoring the goals, setting up and scoring goals for like Tony and himself, and obviously like they have a couple of good little wingers that come in and get some goals. So it could be a case of they lose out on that. But if they sign in a Damsgaard-esque, that's not a bad signing at all, is it? Palace. Palace is one that I've put a little bit higher than you.
You have.
I considered Palace top half. I'm actually a bit disappointed about Leicester 10th because Leicester look like they're about to sell 2/3 of their first 11.
And they haven't bought anyone.
And they because they can't. They're very in the mud with financial fair play. I don't know how bad, but that's why they have to sell these players. I almost think I want Palace above Leicester, but I'm going to stick with that because at least
I think I could have pushed Leicester quite far down. This list could evolve quite quickly.
Yeah, it's not going to change. We've got to leave it, but maybe what we'll do is we'll review it mid-season and go, okay, what are we going from mid-season?
Yeah, we'll just get the stock back up and literally compare. But I think if signings don't appear and if they do sell some really important players. I mean, Schmeichel's going. If they do end up crippling to that 50 mil Maddison bid from...
Yeah, they will. I think the reason that they're rejecting them is just so they can get the most out of him. It has to be. Because he's worth probably 50 with English tax, isn't he?
You'd probably say 50. I don't know how long his contract's for. But he's important for them when he's fit.
There's 4 rumours flying around for them. Schmeichel, Fofana. Schmeichel, Fofana, Maddison, Vardy. I don't know if you saw it today, but with my 90-minute stuff, I get obviously they retweet it. And Graham Bailey, who's like one of their in the know guys, reckons United and Chelsea are keeping tabs on him, which is an interesting one. I think he'd be a good signing for both those teams, ironically. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. If those 4 leave, Leicester are, I reckon, maybe even prime candidates to go down.
Yeah, they don't have a ton of quality depth, do they?
No. I keep brushing over Palace. I'm just going to give you my 2 pence on them. I quite like them. I quite like Palace. I like Vieira. I like Mateta, Zaha, Eze, Elise. That's going to be quite dangerous this season. They signed a new midfielder in Decore. Gaeta's decent, isn't he? They've got Klein and Ward at right back. A couple of decent centre backs. I think Gahey's incredible when he's on the ball. He's a really, really good. Like he plays out of the back really nicely. And I just think they'll have another good season under Vieira.
No, I don't disagree. This is why I kind of said at the beginning, my table's a bit mixed because I don't have a ton of knowledge on these sort of teams. So I'm kind of open to ideas on most of them because they're kind of all in and around where I want them to be, but maybe not precisely,
Yeah. The next 5 was crazy difficult, but yeah, the thing with Palace is last season I thought they had a great season. They only finished 15th, 16th, and there was a potential of them getting dragged in with 6 or 7 games to go. But I think that Vieira's now had his time to
I think so.
Actually go, how do I want to play? What player is going to suit that system? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that they'll be fine. And then obviously we discussed Forest earlier, and you just thought they'll do all right. So obviously they're looking. That's was that 13th on my table there, so they should be half decent. But yeah, do you want to say anything more on Forest, or do you want to go to the top?
No, I don't think so. I don't have much more to say really. I mean, they have signed some really more than top half quality players.
Yeah,
Lingard and Henderson being probably the 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably especially Dean Henderson. I mean, that's a really good signing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
Lingard it's an expensive.
It's hit and miss, isn't it? If he plays like he did at West Ham, it's brilliant. If he plays like he does at Manchester United, it's not.
Yeah, but I think he's likely to play more like he did at West Ham than he.
Yeah, the team's going to be built around him, so that's good for him.
Look, he scored a goal in their friendly against City the other day. So
there we go, sorted. Okay, now let's go 9 and 8, because after 9 and 8, we're pushing on European places. So who do you have ninth?
Newcastle.
Right. I have ninth. Who do I have ninth? Villa.
To say it had to be one of them, as if it wasn't. It was a spicy pick.
Yeah. So I've got Villa ninth, and you've got Newcastle. I'm going to go with why I think Villa first, and I think Villa. They've signed a few very good players. Coutinho's permanent. Diego Carlos and Kamara. I really hope that's his name.
Yes,
good. I think they are going to help their team, especially Carlos and Coutinho. Definitely going to push Villa on. And I think Gerrard's kind of got his dressing room sorted out, because I think there was a bit of like, I can't take the captaincy of Mings now when he first went in, but he really wanted to. And you could tell that he liked the John McGinn-esque. So, yeah, I think that's that. I just don't think they're going to be good enough to challenge for Europe. Well, they are going to challenge. They're going to be ninth, but I don't think they're going to sustain it the whole season. Yeah. I think they could maybe be like late, like dark horses. Like everyone's putting all this expectation on them. They might not be where they think they should at the World Cup, and then they'll have a decent second half of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's who.
Did Liverpool play them in pre-season?
We're playing them next week.
Right.
We played United, Palace, Leipzig, Salzburg, City, and then we played Strasbourg. But Strasbourg was like the kids, so irrelevant.
We played Villa with our first team, both of our first teams in the first half, and then kind of not in the second, but a couple of first teamers for them. And Leon Bailey has been having an absolute wonder of a preseason.
He's a wild card on my FPL, I think.
Yeah, he's so good. He played amazingly against us. Granted, not against first team, but he was really good.
Yeah.
And I just think it's players like that that make me want to put them higher than.
Yeah, no. That's fine. Let's touch on them in a minute when you get to them. I want to know your Newcastle one, because I think Newcastle are one that, again, it could go either way.
Well,
like they could do really poorly, because there's going to be like, it's like the shine of having the owners has worn off.
Yeah, I was never sold on Eddie Howe as the Newcastle manager. Even after like the second half of last season, because I think you give most people a £50 million pretty much world-class midfielder, and it will make the team better. So I didn't want to give him as much credit as other people might have been happy to. I think the movement of Joelinton, good decision, because he played a lot better. But who have they signed? Sven Botman.
Nick Pope.
I don't think that is that much of an improvement.
They have signed someone else.
Either of their two goalkeepers.
No, but I think it's one of them ones. It's like, okay, do we want anyone else that might get him around us getting him? No. Okay,
James Maddison, that'd be a great signing.
Yeah, it would be huge for them. Imagine him coming off one wing and or him in the centre and ASM and maybe Almiron for a season off the right. It would be pretty good.
They do need another striker though, because Wilson's great, but his legs are literally made of glass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've only put them there because they will get. I just genuinely believe they'll get top half just because they put a lot of money into it. And I think what you might end up seeing is the last week of the transfer window, they just go fucking berserk because they haven't got.
Yeah.
They want it out of the window, and they just.
And people will know they can pay money. Yeah. Well, yeah. So they made Matt Target permanent.
Right.
And that's about it. Matt Target, Nick Pope, and Botman
signing at the moment.
It's interesting because everyone was saying that Bruce hasn't got a good squad, and Eddie Howe's basically done it with the same squad because Chris Wood ended up being literally what his name is, and Wood, like he can't move. I think interesting that Eddie Howe turned it around.
As a player, so they can't.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, but no. Yeah. So, what's your biggest like concern for them?
I just don't think they've improved that much yet.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. They have improved. That's why they're. I mean, where did they finish last season? Like
ninth.
really?
Yeah, they finished really high.
But the thing is, as we've been talking about all these other teams, a lot of them have improved notably.
Yeah.
So again, it's the thing. If they do sign Madison, and if they do sign a striker, maybe a young striker,
They finished 11th. Sorry.
then I think they could push, West Ham and them
Yeah.
a lot. But I think at this current moment in time, with what we've got, transfer wise, I think they could.
I think unfortunately for them, Newcastle, West Ham signed a striker that could probably do a half decent job for them in Skamaka, but
I don't know. There's a bit of score 2 goals, get really sulky, and then go back to Italy next season with Skamaka. But we'll see.
So who do you have 8th? Just missing out on European football.
Villa,
right. And then I have probably the roguish out of everything.
West Ham.
West Ham. Indeed. Okay, you've made your things about Villa clear in terms of like Bailey, etc. And I totally hear that. I just don't think West Ham have done enough business, considering what everyone else has done. I don't think West Ham are going to break the top 6 again, because I think the top 6, as weak as some of the teams are in there, I think are, or in turmoil, should I say, because I don't think they're like necessarily bad. I don't think West Ham, the Conference League is going to batter them, absolutely batter them, because it's not like, at least with the Europa League, it's like, it's still Germany, France, Italy, Scotland, like not far, and places that aren't like freezing cold. But if they're going to like deepest, darkest Slovakia, it's like, it's a different atmosphere that they've never really experienced. This is when they've played a Slovakian opposition every game in the Europa League last season. But do you know what I mean? I think that the travel, that they're unlikely to play one of the big boys, because the big boys will be seeded alongside them. So they're not going to get one of the big boys for a while. And I don't think they've done enough transfer business. I mean, they signed Skamaka, but that was it. They haven't signed anyone else, have they?
I think the biggest and most important thing they did this transfer window is smack a ridiculous price tag on Declan Rice. Because if they had lost him, then they would have been in huge trouble. But
they would have not been in a good place. But
so I think that's by far the most important thing they did this summer. But I think there is. You talked about a lot of 50-50s down at the bottom of the table. I think their new striker is the biggest 50-50 I've got so far. Because I think he could be like a 15, 17, 18 goal striker. Or he could be
it screams of 1 goal, 2 assists. Do you know what I mean?
It could be a Gabbiadini and look really good for like half a season and then just not.
No, I totally agree. But that's why I can't back them. I mean, they've not signed anyone of like massive note apart from that Flynn Downs and Naif or go. I can't pronounce that name. But from Stade Rennais, Okuru Agud. I don't know. He's French, but yeah, I just don't think it's good enough. It's not Jess. Hang on, I'm going to pause it. It's Jamie. He's singing the song, Jamie.
Oh.
Season 1. All right. I'll just edit that out. I'm just talking to Jamie. So we're now on to European football. European football. Okay, well, you can obviously see one of my teams who's not made it yet. I think you're
aside from the top 6, I've only got one left, and
and yours is, we know who that is. I did the T before the S both times there. Don't know why. So there we go. Why have you backed West Ham despite the feelings towards the striker?
Because again, it's 50-50 in it. I could have switched. I could have switched Villa and West Ham quite easily, but I don't know. I just get this vibe from West Ham that they can just beat you. And the problem is, it's one of those teams that it's like Wolves a few years back. They'll beat everybody in the top 6 probably once a season. but then they'll struggle against Bournemouth and Fulham.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as you said, I think, yeah, the Conference League will be difficult. However, they do have experience from last year.
Yeah.
And it is relevant experience. There will be a bit more travel, probably.
Yeah, they're probably one of the better teams in it.
But you know, they did a big run in the Europa League last season.
Yeah,
they could quite easily win the Conference League this year.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I don't know. They've got such a vibe with them that annoys me, that they are better than they should be.
Yeah.
So I always have them higher than they probably should be, and they always end up finishing better than they should. So
yeah, one of the things with West Ham, I think, is, as you said, they can like beat anyone on their day, really. Like they beat Liverpool and City, or they beat us last year, and they drew with City, but they should have probably beaten them.
Yeah.
So it's like there is that element, and then the thing with West Ham for me is, like, I don't know what their record coming off Europe is, because that's always a big thing. Like Liverpool, we played Newcastle towards the back end of last year, and it was the first time we'd won a 12:30 kickoff after Europe under Klopp, and we've been in Europe for like 5 years under Klopp, and we've played a lot of 12:30 kickoffs. And it's like, if you don't, that's like a pattern. Like that's clearly a thing that affects teams. So yeah, I think that it's a sticky one, isn't it? It's a bit difficult with that, but yeah, I just think Newcastle, I think the form they had, there's a good feeling around the club. It's the same with West Ham, actually. I think that's why they're not going to plummet like they could. I think that's why they'll stay there, is because there's a really good vibe, and I think when the fans are behind you, that really helps. And it's going to be tight. Like, I'm not even joking. I expect there to be like between maybe 4th to 8th.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon there could be 10 points in it.
Yeah.
Not many at all.
Yeah.
Not many at all, because I think that there's definitely a gap closed between those teams. But yeah, so we're now into the big boys. Obviously, we've both got a collection of 6 clubs left, which I kind of think if you didn't put in the top 6, you'd be a bit mental. So let's go Europa League. Who have you got finishing Europa League next season?
I've got Arsenal and Chelsea as my 2 Europa League.
No. Chelsea. I have Chelsea.
You think Chelsea?
And I also have Manchester United.
No, I expected this.
And this is not because I hate Manchester United.
No, I know it's not.
This is because I think Arsenal and Spurs are really good.
Right.
And I actually do.
I'm ready to.
I agree
with you on the Tottenham one, but we'll talk about Arsenal.
Yeah, go on. You talk about Arsenal, and because I'm actually going to do it now. I think Arsenal will finish 4th.
I am really, really still unconvinced about their project.
Are you?
I have been. I was the whole of last season. They overperformed stats so much last season, and when it catches up with them, it's so funny, because if you don't like pay attention to that kind of thing, you'd be like, oh my god, Arsenal are in such good form. They were so lucky for a lot of last season.
Yeah.
And look, they have improved. There's hardly any kind of way to say that they haven't, because they have. But
yeah,
if you look at that team, you look at Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, whoever they're going to play on the right, probably Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Partey if he's not in prison, somebody else in the midfield, Xhaka probably, Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus. I cannot comprehend anyone thinking that team is better than Manchester United's first 11.
No, I agree with that. Okay,
we have a better manager. I'm not out here trying to be like edgy and say Arteta's not great, but Erik ten Hag is a better coach than Mikel Arteta is.
Do you think?
So I think why I back us against Arsenal.
Yeah.
To be honest, Tottenham's a bit more of a conversation because their manager is certifiably elite. Their front 3, especially 2, are very elite.
Yeah.
Romero is a great defender, and they have some other good players. But Arsenal, I don't see it. I still don't see it. They're better than West Ham, but they're not better than any of the rest of them.
Fair enough. Right, okay. I'll talk about Arsenal in a minute. I think we should go on Chelsea because we both got them finishing outside the Champions League place. Why do you think they will?
They have not gelled in preseason, man.
No.
They've got so many problems. The main one for me is not lack of signings, because they will sort that out. It's the fact that they've got so many players that don't want to be there. So then having because if they can't get rid of all of them, or if they keep all of them going into the season, you don't want a squad with discontentment in it, man. I had it last year with United. It's just not fun.
It's not good, is it? Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Especially for Tuchel, who's had it before. Had it at PSG that season before. He just clearly wasn't a happy dressing room.
Yeah.
It's just not fun for a manager, and it didn't work for PSG. I don't think it's going to work for him at Chelsea.
I tend to agree with that.
Look, the signings they've made so far are great. Sterling is a world-class player, but you know,
he doesn't like. I don't know how to say it because I agree. I think Sterling's really good, and I'd have actually quite liked Liverpool to sign him, but it would have not been like, okay, we're signing Sterling to play every week. Do you know what I mean?
For them, I think it is. I think he will, more of a role,
but literally
being the head of that team.
Literally, Sterling doesn't start for two teams in the league, and that's Liverpool and Manchester City.
Yeah,
I think he would probably start for United. I think he'd probably start for Arsenal. Probably start for Chelsea. He'd start for everyone else. So that's how I look at Sterling. But yeah, mine's kind of similar. I think that they lost Rudiger, who was their best centre back last year, behind Thiago, well, probably next to Thiago Silva. Christensen, okay, didn't play every week. But then there's that, and then they've got bundles of the youth players, and then they've clearly got a couple of players who don't want to be there. I mean, a couple of them left in terms of Lukaku. I think Werner's going to be out his way out. Aspilicueta looks like he might go, but even there's three players that, okay, Lukaku, they've kind of replaced with Sterling. You can tell that Tuchel's moving to a more like a false nine thing. But Werner, you're going to have to go out and get someone who's going to work as hard as him, because at least he worked hard. And
actually, I would have taken Werner at United. I think he get discredited quite a lot.
He just doesn't score, does he? When you're a £50 million striker, you need to score goals.
I get that.
And then Aspilicueta is very versatile, isn't he? Centre back, right back.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I just think that they're still all over the place. And I think that it's going to be really difficult for Tuchel, because I think that he demands a lot, but when you've got a lot of players who don't want to be there, it's going to be very difficult.
And Kepa's going to go as well, so they don't have a second choice goalkeeper.
Yeah, and then the reason I went Manchester United 5th and Arsenal 4th is because I like Arsenal's project. Contrary to you, I really think that this year has shown the way they want to take it, in terms of he's made Odegaard his captain. He gives a lot of game time to players like Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka. Nketiah. They've obviously put a lot of faith into him. Gabriel, Ben White, Tomiyasu, Ramsdale. These are all very young players, very young, very good players. And I think that that's the way forward, is players that are really enthusiastic. And a lot of them are good. The players I mentioned, in fact, one of them I backed to have a very, very good season. I really like Saka, and I actually think one day he's going to play for Manchester City or Liverpool. And it could be after this season, depending how the season goes. But I just think you and them, as in Manchester United and Arsenal, are on a very similar parallel. And I just think they're that further along because they've had 2 years of it. I think in 2 years I'll be talking about it, and I'll probably be talking about you and Arsenal in the top 4 ahead of Spurs and Chelsea, because I think the Spurs, as soon as Conte goes, it's like, again, isn't it? It's a very downward spiral. So yeah, I just think that, Manchester United, you've not signed the players you need to sign. The whole Frankie de Jong thing's making a bit of a mockery of you, in terms of it just makes you look a little bit desperate. I think he's a great player, don't get me wrong. And that's not why I think it's desperate. I think it's like, okay, we're not going to get a deal done. We've got £75 million. Let's go and get another centre midfielder. Yeah. And you could go and get someone. I think it's just that he's such in the Ten Hag mode when your scouting department was so wrong at the start of it was all over the place at the start of the window. Same with Ronaldo. I'm just not, that whole thing confuses me. He's going to come back as if nothing happened. and that's going to be very detrimental to the squad. I mean, I saw him have a conversation with Ten Hag in your friendly on Sunday, and you could tell Ten Hag was trying to like put his foot down and go like, "No, I'm the boss here now. Like, you listen to me. I'm not going to pander to your needs," which I like. But it's if he's there, he's such a big personality in the dressing room. It's going to be difficult for the rest of the squad to accept that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I find it difficult to worry about him, but we'll talk about him.
But I do think there is an off chance you sneak into the top four. I just really like the way Arsenal. I actually quite like watching them play. I watched them against Watford like quite intently towards the back end of last season, and they were really, really, really good. So yeah, who have you got in fourth place?
I've got Tottenham, but I think it's so interchangeable with United in mine that I've put Tottenham there just because it's Tottenham and not United. But I could see it being kind of similar, two horses, and then whoever's behind is behind.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So yeah, do you want to talk about United and your thoughts towards them?
Yeah, I'll talk about both. I'll talk about Spurs first because I have put them fourth. Look, I think Richarlison is a very strange £60 million to be spending. When you've got Kulusevski, who is pretty much he's still on a loan, but the obligation is basically there. So I think he will be there for years. And you've got Kane and you've got Son. It's almost a City sign. It's almost you're going to play whenever one of these is injured.
Yeah, it's weird because Tottenham don't have the money to do it, which I just think is a bit like go and invest it. But as I said, like Sarr and Dennis, just go and get one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they took out a massive loan for transfers and stuff, which is fine. And Perisic is a really great, shrewd little signing for them.
Yeah, really good signing.
For especially for Conte. Spence, I don't know a ton about, but it seems that he played really well last season.
Yeah, and he played wing back as well, which obviously like Conte through and through.
And then some of the squad that they had remaining is really quality. I mean, Hugo Lloris has done it in the league for a long time. I don't think he's the mold of goalkeeper that will take over from him, but Conte doesn't really play with a goalkeeper that needs to
need to play at the back.
He doesn't need to be an Edison. So to have that, I think the problem is they have one centre back that I think is knocking on the door of the top level, but then the other two, not so much.
And they've only got 3 centre backs, which is not ideal.
Yeah. So I think they could do with, and I think they are looking at another centre back before the end of the summer. But aside from that, the squad's really strong because you've got, let's say you get another centre back, then you've got 2 strong wing backs, one incredibly experienced, one not so, but quite raw. The midfielders, look, they're not great, but Højbjerg will run for days for you, and he's just committed. You need him next to somebody that's a bit better than him, but he'll run for them. And I think Bentancur is not a bad midfielder, to be honest. He played all right in the games that he was there last season. And then you've got the front three with the 2 of them that are just exceedingly excellent. So I think they will get top 4. I think they'll, but then there is just always the Spurs aspect of it. Where they do tend to not do it right at the end.
No, I agree with that. I just think there's like a winning mentality installed into them from Conte. I just think that I'd think that they will finish third because I think they are probably the 3rd best team in the league. I'm not saying like first 11, and you could put an argument forward that they might be the 3rd best if you go for what their best 11 is. There's an argument for it being the 3rd best in the league. And I just think that Conte, you just saw the way he got them playing football last year. It was unbelievable. And then they make signings that Conte really wants to play with. I mean, he said he was not very like ecstatic or like happy about Jed Spence. He was like, yeah, Tottenham signed him for the future because he obviously doesn't see himself there for a long time. Which is what I'd worry about as a Spurs fan. But
that's more long time.
But there was a stat that was like, in like 75% of Conte substitutions are wing back for wing back, and 90% of the time he subs both wing backs. So it's like they've got 6 wing backs, I think, technically at the club. which is ridiculous. But you can tell he's going to play,
isn't it? And plus, you've got to remember 5 subs this season, so
so he can sub every wing back at least once. He's buzzing in the game. Just wing backs, just off you come.
I mean, in terms of United as well, the reason I think top 4 is a reasonable thing is that this squad has improved since Ollie started last season. So you have got some more players. I mean, we're missing number 11, which is in terms of football is really tough because he's a great player. But you bring in Ronaldo, you bring in Varane, you bring in Sancho, none of whom really kicked off last year.
No.
You bring in Malaysia, who's really, really talented. You bring in Ericsson, who's talented but in an experienced way.
Yeah.
And you bring in probably De Jong as well, I think, and Martinez, who I've only seen play for a combined basically 90 minutes, but is incredibly composed, and importantly is left-footed.
Yeah.
I think having a squad that came second and came third in 2 consecutive seasons, with some players that are more experienced, and some young players. And if we get, I really think it hinges on De Jong a little bit, but I'm trying not to think like that. With an elite coach over the top of that and an elite coaching setup, I don't have the pessimism that a lot of other United fans have.
I can see that.
I can see this team playing how it did, because people forget that we played really well under Solskjaer for a while.
Yeah.
Like really well. I think we just got blinded by Ralph Rangnick trying to cover his own shit coaching. And Solskjaer in the last few weeks of his reign. So I think there's a lot more optimism to be had with United than people are giving it credit for, basically.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do think Ten Hag is a good coach. And you look at some of the players in the squad already, not even like necessarily that you've brought in, like a Sancho and a Rashford, they're in the ilk that the like Anthony and the Neres. I know Neres moved on towards the end of Ten Hag's spell there, but they are like players in his ilk. Like
my biggest worry is our lack of attacking depth. That is the real worry. So if Ronaldo doesn't leave, I still hope we sign another versatile forward. There's talk of Benjamin Sesko. I think the likelihood of that is that it won't happen. But if it does, I think it's likely to be a buy and loan back for a year. Yeah. So that's not for this year. So I think we need more attackers, especially if Ronaldo leaves. But I don't think he will. So I still think we need one. But
I don't think anything you said is outrageous and honest, and you've argued it quite well. And again, it is opinion, isn't it? So
of course
people can disagree.
We've not even played a game yet. None of us played.
Exactly.
It's it is going to be a bit subjective until there's some things to grab onto. But
for sure. It leaves us with the final 2. Everyone knows who they are. I think it'd be stupid to not have them in your top 2, even despite transfers. And actually, I don't think have you seen my top 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did, because it's the same, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't not back City to win the league because of who they are and the way they play football and the signings they've made, and their coach, and just everything like that. It's just it would be me doing it for the sake of putting Liverpool there,
right? Yeah,
which would have just been like. And the thing is, I think Liverpool will win a big trophy next season. Because I think that's the way this squad works. Like disappointment isn't like missing out isn't necessarily like, and disappointment isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's like okay, I don't want to feel like that next year. So let's do something about it. I think that it'll be tight again. I think that my top 3 I think will be tight until February, March time, and then I think we could see Spurs lose a bit of momentum because a lot of their players are going to go after the World Cup and they'll be tired, and I think that they might have a cup run and they might struggle to keep the momentum because they'll be so close to winning a trophy. It seems a bit mimicking, but and then I think that because I think a lot of people are discrediting Liverpool and putting us third. I don't know how many people you've seen do that, but I've seen a few people put Liverpool third, and then they go, they sold Mane, and I'm like, yeah, and we replaced Mane before he even left.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we brought a player who doesn't play our system, but that's exactly why we've brought him.
Yeah.
We've brought him to change the way we play so we can score more goals and win games that perhaps last year we drew Spurs at home, Brighton at home, those sort of games where we should have won the game, and even games where we did win, but we struggled to score when we maybe should have.
Really interesting to see how both of them deal with having number 9s.
Yeah. I mean, did you watch a Community Shield?
Yeah.
I think that's a very good, what's the word, like data set for the season.
Yeah, I hate
Darwin come on,
game, but
huh?
I hate doing stuff with one game.
Yeah,
but,
same. But
like,
it kind of
Haaland was terrible, but he won't be.
He will get better, but
yeah,
I think it shows you. I think for a few weeks, if not month or so, that's how he's going to play. A little bit like unsure, not getting the passes where he needs him to be. When he's in front of goal, not as clinical as we think he's going to be. And I think that Darwin showed that he's brought into the Liverpool style of play. And I think that we showed we can adapt to it, whereas City didn't. Like they did some analysis at halftime, and they were like they didn't play the ball where they need to play it for Haaland. Like Greenish and KDB both got in positions down the side of the box, and instead of crossing it early so he can run onto it like he would, they pulled it back. And it's like, why are you doing that with Haaland in the team? Like, stick it on this bloke's head. He's got a massive head.
They're going to nip that in the bud quick.
Yeah, they will, but it's going to take a few weeks to like fully do it.
Yeah, City always start slow. Every single
they
season.
Actually do as well.
It's the thing that really, because it wouldn't be surprising to me if after 5 weeks they're fifth, and everyone's like, what's happening here? But then they just end up they don't lose after October.
Yeah.
So they might have a slow start. They always do, and I can see that slow start being where Haaland gets it, and then when it happens, they just don't stop.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
That's what I see happening again, as it happens every fucking year.
The thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? We've like built it up, but I actually don't think there's much else to say.
No, I don't think so.
I think that both. I'd be foolish to put Liverpool top for the sake of it. I think we could win it. I definitely think we could. I said to my dad and my brother earlier, we need to be within a point of the top at the World Cup. Yeah. And I genuinely mean that. A lot of people go, 2 or 3 will be fine, 4 maybe. Now we need to be level or within a point of it, or
I think
to be with any chance of winning this.
Within a game of top before the World Cup.
Yeah, 100% we need to be. Because I think that
for anyone,
the period after the World Cup is going to be mad, by the way, because there's going to be so many people not fit. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, so there's our Premier League predictions. We're going to move on to a few like individual awards, and we maybe do them a bit quicker because we've been going for an hour, I think. But there we go. I'll stop the share so you can now see our full faces in full HD again. We'll start with the top goal scorer. Go 3 backwards, and you just say your 3, and I'll say my 3.
Look, I've stuck with Martial as my 3rd.
We had to. You said it on
I did have to stick
on record.
I did put Nunez in the middle, but then I forgot Kane existed. So then I put Kane in, and then Haaland top. Just because everybody seems to be putting Haaland up there. And he wasn't just bad in the Community Shield. He was really bad. But
awful.
I just don't see him not getting over that. So
no, I would have put him in if I hadn't have thought of all the other players that existed. And my other thing is City share goals a lot. Like they'll have like him, De Bruyne, Silva. Who else is there? Mahrez, Grealish. I reckon Grealish could get a few goals this year. Gundogan always scores loads. Rodri scored quite a few. Cancelo will chip in, and they all have like 10 to 15 each. So they share it that way. I went for Son, Kane, Salah because I can't not say Salah because he's won 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 or something crazy like that. It's just like, well, obviously he's got to be in for a shout. And Kane and Son are the 2 biggest threats in that Conte team, and they scored a lot of goals, and they like passing it to each other and scoring a lot of goals. So they have to be in those in and around it for me. Because Kulusevski kind of plays behind them, and it gives them the freedom to score a lot of goals. So that's what I think.
It's more than fair enough.
We then went for the best player of the year. I went for Salah again. I can't not. If he scores the most goals, he's probably going to be up there with the assists.
Yeah.
He's going to have a great season. Liverpool are going to have a good season, so he's inevitably going to have a good season. If we play well, if Salah plays well, we play well. So
yeah, I've gone with De Bruyne. I don't like him very much, but the more that I watch Kevin De Bruyne, the more I get sad. So I've put him.
He's so good, but he's like a weird good. Like he doesn't like glide.
No,
like Messi or like Iniesta, but he doesn't play like Ronaldo, like skillful. Like it's just like ridiculous.
When you used to watch Peter Crouch play football, and you're like, this guy should really not be here.
Same with De Bruyne.
He's a bit like that, not to the same kind of extent, but he doesn't.
Peter Crouch was well better,
but he's just really great. And and when they do get Haaland going, he should rack up.
I think the record for assists is 20. I reckon he could beat that.
Every year, I think he should, and he gets injured.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And then we went best young player of the year. We had a bit of a chat about this over.
Yeah, we did. Obviously, they changed the rules, so I was like, I immediately put Sancho down and realised he's old now. So
22.
Yeah, it's depressing to me that I am almost the same age as Erling Haaland. But anyway, Erling Haaland is eligible for Young Player of the Year, so I put him down.
Yeah, I put Saka down, and I went. And then you said Haaland, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to stay with Saka because I think he could have a good season. I think that like it could be one of them ones. It's like Saka maybe picks up like 15 goals and 10 assists, and everyone's like,
that would be certified Young Player of the Year. There's no chance.
Yeah, he got like quite a lot of goals and quite a few assists last year, so I think he's definitely in with a chance of doing it, and especially with Jesus up there for him. I haven't actually written my League Cup, FA Cup winner because I just can't think of one. I'm gonna have to do it off the top.
I really wanted to put down Newcastle for one of them.
I've got 3 teams. I think I'm gonna go. Let's go League Cup. Who you go in League Cup?
I always go for City for League Cup because they're perennial winners of it. So
I'm actually gonna go Newcastle because it's one of them ones that, as I said, I think Newcastle can have a good season overall, but I think it could coincide with the League Cup being very good, and then after that they fall off.
Yeah.
So I think that Newcastle could actually win that. It's Newcastle or Spurs, and my road cap shouts for that. And I think Spurs will reach the final. So it could be a Spurs Newcastle final, but I think Newcastle will win it. I just think Newcastle are going to do something this year.
You cannot predict finals. It's so difficult.
No, I just think Newcastle are going to win it this year. So
they were in
FA Cup. FA Cup winner.
I put United in just for a bit of fun, really.
Who do you think I'm going for?
Oh, you really?
Nice. I'm going for Liverpool. Mainly because I want us. It's a want, not a think. I want us to retain one of the cups that we won.
Right.
Because I didn't like winning the league and not retaining it, and then winning the Champions League and not retaining it. I would rather.
Yeah.
I want to retain one of them, and I don't think. Well, we can't retain the Premier League or the Champions League, and I don't really care about the League Cup. But I like the FA Cup.
No, I get that. That's. I think maybe the only thought about United is that I feel that Eric might want to win something. And I think the League Cup and the FA Cup are the easiest ones.
The FA Cup has more prestige to it.
Yeah, so that's why I went for that one. I think the Europa League is an outside shout, but
we definitely could win that, but I didn't include the Mickey Mouse European competition. So no, I'm joking. I'm joking completely. I lost my voice when Liverpool scored in the final 2015. So there you go. Champions League winner again. I've gone for Liverpool because I think, as I said, we didn't win it last year. I don't want to feel like that again. And Klopp loves the European trophies. So
yeah, no, I think Liverpool's a really, really strong shout. I went with Madrid again because they just have Champions League blood. I don't know what it is about.
Yeah, and they've got better. So
yeah, they've got better. They don't even have to play well to win the Champions League. It's
exactly.
So, I put Madrid because it's kind of a safe thing to say.
I think that if the new gaffer at PSG hits the ground running, PSG could win it and should win it. I think
I will never back PSG to win the Champions League.
I only do.
They have the minerals.
I think they're due it. It's the same with City. I think City are due to win the Champions League, but I actually think City are going to struggle again this year because the problem is there's so much pressure now that they've got Haaland.
Right.
It's like if you get to the semi, it's like we went out last year at this stage, and then we brought a player to make our team better. So we should go through. But the City team doesn't do pressure well.
Gone out.
No, I know.
It's so much better.
I know. but this is my point: is they panicked, and that is what screwed them like royally in that semi-final. They panicked. They went, "Oh my god, we're in the Champions League final," and then Real Madrid scored, and they went, "Maybe we're not." And then Real Madrid scored again, and went, "We're definitely not." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that it's ingrained in them now. It's like Spurs, but on a like much lower scale. Ballon d'Or. I'm not sure when this is given out, but it's not too far away.
No, it's mid-season, isn't it? So
it's like they've changed it to the season is when the Ballon d'Or is based on.
Well, in which case, it's definitely Benzema then, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Benzema as well, but I put Sadio Mane as a rogue shout because he's won everything else. Shout. He's won everything else as like individual stuff, like African Player of the Year.
Yeah,
he's going to be up there for European Player of the Year, like UEFA Player of the Year. I don't know how that works, but
the thing with the Ballon d'Or is that the Champions League is always such a linchpin.
Yeah,
I mean,
Benzema was unreal as well, like really, really good.
Other than that, yeah.
But I think that they could look at it. I don't know. And then World Cup. I haven't written this again because I've got 2 teams, 3, that I think could win it. And I'm gonna go. You go first.
I've put England.
Is that hope or is that actual belief?
There's a little bit of hope in there, but I mean, we did genuinely get to a European final. And every time we lose something, we gain maturity. Look, the squad is really young. We know that.
Boring though. Boring though. The football.
Yeah, the manager is boring. I get that, and I'm a big advocate for him not being. I think. Not crap. What's his name? I can see his face. Graham Potter should have been the England manager for at least a year and a half. But
get Serena in. Serena Whiteman, get her in.
Yeah, honestly, anyone. Emma Hayes, I'd take.
Emma Hayes would be fucking unbelievable.
Can you imagine? There will be a time, by the way, when that happens, that a woman gets a like senior men's management job. I really hope it's Emma Hayes. Yeah, she's just amazing.
Well, there was a rumor of her getting like a lower league one, and everyone was like, "That's just insulting to her," because they're basically going, "Well, you're good, but you're like not good enough." So yeah, she'll get one.
Yeah, I've gone with England because look, we beat. Well, we didn't beat. We got to the European final, which isn't an easy thing to do. Never has been. Obviously, the World Cup brings in some more interesting teams.
Yeah.
I think the real ones to look out for are the big South American teams.
Yeah, they're my 2. I can't decide between.
But look, when you get past the group stage, anything can happen. Genuinely, anything can happen because when you play one-off games, the rules go out the window, mate. They just do.
No, I totally agree.
So you get out that group stage, which we will, and then anything can happen. And we've got players on the pitch that can win games.
No, I 100% agree.
Seriously win games. Like
no. Don't worry, I'm fully on your side. I think I'm gonna go for, and I've got to back this in November. So whatever I say, I've got to back before the thing. We could change it if we agree. We could change it. I'm gonna back Brazil. It was them or Argentina, and the only reason I go for Argentina is because I like Messi. Yeah, but I think Brazil.
Like Argentina, because if they win, I'll just hovel away into a cave.
I think Brazil have a really good 23, like actually really good 23 as well. We're close to the Copa America. That's why I almost went Argentina, because they've got the taste for it now, and it is a young squad. Like it's evolved. Like Messi is the oldest in that team for a reason, obviously. But do you know what I mean? Like they've got a good crop of young players coming through. Yeah. So I'm going to go Brazil. It was them. The 4, I think it's going to be between England, Argentina, Brazil, France. But France without Pogba is going to be interesting. But again, as I said in the notes, bigger prediction near the time. We'll do a like a dark horse, a golden boot winner, all that sort of thing. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm buzzing for tonight. The Arsenal Crystal Palace game. I can't wait. I will be watching it. I actually won't be watching it. I'm lying, but I will be watching Liverpool at 12:30 tomorrow. So yeah, I can't wait. I thank you so much for joining me, Jamie. It was a really good chat. That really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
It's nice to hear somebody else's thoughts other than mine, because I just get so in my head, like picking things and whatever. But yeah,
really good, mate. Yeah, Good to talk to you. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Subscribe. This is a long one. Title is going to be extra bumper long Premier League predictions 22-23. So enjoy that, guys. We'll see you next week. We're going to have to figure out a schedule, but once we've got it done, we'll get it to you guys. Get it in your ear holes and you'll enjoy it. Jamie, thank you for joining me.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Bye.